Hello, everyone. Welcome to the OD Stella Sata Scholarship webinar. If you're here, please use the comment section to say hello and tell us where you're watching from. My name is Grace Ihejamaizu Paul, and I'm here with Miss Stella Sata, who is representing the Nilai University in Malaysia. Yes, I can see some of you already here. Thank you for joining. Tell us where you're joining us from. Tell us your country or your city. All right.
Hi, everyone. So Grace, will you be able to show the comments? Because I think from my end, they're not showing. Oh, I can see them now.
Hi, Moja. Hello, Philip. So we have people from Sudan, Sierra Leone. All right. So today we are talking about studying in Malaysia, and we're very excited to present to you several opportunities to pursue your undergraduate studies in Malaysia on partial scholarships. So today we have a representative from Nilai University in Malaysia. Her name is Stella Sata. Stella is a young yet seasoned independent financial associate. She's a global citizen who has had an opportunity to live, study, and work in Asia, Europe, Africa, and North America. She has a passion for business and finance and making complex financial products easy to understand for Zambia and Canada's lay investor. She wants to build people and build dreams by giving tailor-made financial and business advice to help everyone make informed decisions. She also hopes everyone can benefit from global mobility and move beyond their countries of birth. I met Stella on Facebook many years ago. And yes, she does incredible work. Right now, she's based in Canada and she's helping people find opportunities to advance their studies in countries that people are underlooking, right? Stella, when we were having our chat, we talked about the fact that everyone wants to go to Canada, US,
Yeah.
UK, but nobody's seeing the vast amount of opportunities that are available in other Asian and African countries. So
Exactly.
thank you very much for bringing this to our doorstep and making it possible for our followers at Opportunity Desk to learn about these opportunities and to take advantage of them. So I will bring on stage now Opportunity Desk Community Manager Tolani Olawori. Tolani is going to moderate this session and ask Stella a few questions. Okay, but before we get started, I want to say hello to Riches from Rwanda, Philip, and everyone else who is joining us today. I can see you're there, but you're not leaving comments. So feel free to ask your questions along the way, and we would try to answer them as much as possible. Welcome, Tolani. Over to you now.
Thank you, Grace. Hi, Stella.
Hi, Tolani. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm sure, like myself, a lot of people joining us on this live are really looking forward to what you'll be sharing here with us today. So let's just get into it.
Great.
Yeah, so you studied in Malaysia and you went there at the age of 14. How did that happen? How did you make that work? How did you figure it out so early? And why did you choose Malaysia?
Thank you for the question, Tolani. So, my story is a bit unique. It may not be everybody's story, right? But in my high school, let me say from primary school, I skipped a couple of grades and then, did my grade 7 exams early. So I finished high school by the age of 13. But this presented me with a very unique problem where when I was 14, when the results came out, most of the universities in Zambia said I was too young to enter university. And it was a bit frustrating. You know, you're done with university, your friends are also done, but your friends are going to university and you're not. So, yes, it was very frustrating. And I think this is a frustration that a lot of young people who have left school have. So I would always just Google certain universities. I think that was a time when internet cafes were just starting and you could find information online, and we had to literally go to an internet cafe. So one day I came across this post that said that there would be a Malaysian fair at one of our conference centers. And I went to that Malaysian fair and I took, some brochures from different universities. I met this brilliant man from Uganda. So I was like, oh, this is a black man who's representing Malaysia. All the other stands had Asian people, but then this was like a black man. So I really resonated with someone who looks like me and took a brochure, went back to my parents. But then how do I get in touch with these people? That's really the story of how I created my first email address, emailed the email address that was on the brochure, asked if I could apply. I said I was young. They told me, okay, since you're young, all you have to do is get a letter from your parents that say they're okay with you moving. And basically, for me, Malaysia was the option when all other universities said I was too young. So it presented me with an opportunity to start studying while everybody else was saying, wait till you're 16. So that's basically my story of how I found myself in Malaysia. But looking back, I think it was one of the best things that happened for me. Tolani, are you there?
It looks like
That's Malaysia at 14.
Yes.
Hello, Stella. Can you hear
Yes,
me?
I can hear you.
okay. So I'll just fill in for her for now. Would you say that Malaysia is a good place for a young person? I know I can see some questions already in the chats, but we'll come back to them. Would you say it's a good place for a young person? Because I can imagine that parents would have questions and they will have issues around safety and all of that. So touch a bit on that.
Okay, great. So, from my personal experience going at that age, traveling as an unaccompanied minor, going there young and meeting other young people, I would say that Malaysia provides an opportunity for someone to mature because, like any university, you're now on your own. So you have to plan certain things. If your parents are sending you money, you need to budget and things like that. So you grow a little bit because you have to plan. But it's also a fairly conservative country. So it's like liberal and conservative at the same place.
Mm-hmm.
And these things allow you to enjoy the safety of when societies are conservative, because you know that you can't do too many things. So you're restricted in what you're allowed to do. But then also you get to benefit from the environment being beautiful. The country has a lot of beaches, so you can go and travel with your friends. It's centrally located in Asia, and there are huge shopping malls if shopping is your kind of thing. So it really just makes it interesting as a young person, especially when you're coming from Zambia. I don't know about Nigeria or Sudan or Sierra Leone, but when you're coming from Zambia, when you go to Malaysia, it's like a whole different world. You see the Twin Towers, and these are things you don't see in Zambia. So your mind automatically opens up to all the possibilities in the world.
There.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. And I like the fact that it's centrally located so they can easily get around the continent. Someone asked a question I thought was important. He says he's worried about racism. What can you say about that?
Yes, I mean, race is a very important thing in the world that we live in. But in countries like Malaysia that are very multicultural, it's something that you don't see as often. Of course, there are certain communities that you live in where certain things will be more prevalent. But in the university setting, because most universities have a huge intercultural population, so you will not get to see that racism. So because Malaysia is multicultural, Malaysia in itself has three races: the Chinese Malaysians, and then the Malay Malaysians, and the Indian Malaysians. So
Okay.
these already give you different colors of people.
So
There
it's
are some Indian Malaysians who look more like me than, anything else. And then we have the international community that has been made up of students. So it's really multicultural in nature. Of course, race in every country, or racism in every country happens, but Malaysia would rank slightly lower, not slightly, significantly lower than other places in much more developed places.
awesome. Thank you. It's quite diverse, and I like that. So, so if you're a young person, you're listening to us right now, you have nothing to fear. I mean, it's pretty much the same situation in most countries anyway. So, get ready to deal with issues like this, but also understand that Malaysia is not that type of place that would discriminate against you as an international student. So just before I hand over to Tolani, I'd like to hear from you, Stella. Tell us about Nilai University. What did you study and what did you enjoy the most about your time there?
Okay, great. So I started off at Nilai University with a diploma in business administration. And one thing that you understand if you're deciding to apply is that there are two ways to enter the university. You either have your O-level results or you have A levels. So if you don't have A levels, then with only your O levels, you have to either do a diploma program or another foundation, kind of just to bridge that gap between secondary school and university. So I did the diploma in business administration. And through my diploma in business administration, I realized that I absolutely loved finance. Like every time there was a finance class, I was never late. I was always interested with what was happening in the world. So I decided to do my specialization, my degree in accounting and finance. So I did a degree in accounting and finance. Because I had a diploma, I got so many exemptions that I only had to do. So after doing 2.5 years of my diploma, I only had to do 1.5 years of my degree. So in total, my time for diploma and degree with the exemptions was 4 years. But in addition to that, because Nilai University has so many partnerships, if you then want to become an SEC accountant or CIMA or any of that, you have exemptions. And even like when I want to become a CPA here in Canada, I get a lot of exemptions from there. After that, the university helped me. I don't remember doing any of my master's application. I just remember the student counselor coming to me and saying, "Hi, Stella, please tell your parents to now put money in your bank account for proof of funds to go to the UK." So the university literally helped me. They came to me, asked me, "What do you want to do for your master's?" I told them which country this. I told them the UK. They helped me with their application, and that's how I moved from Malaysia to the UK. So I would say that my favorite part about Malaysia was some of the leadership things I did, and I can touch on this later. But for my personal, academic growth, them going the extra mile of helping me apply for my master's. And Grace, you can confirm with me that sometimes those applications are not easy to do. A lot of times, so having a university that has a department specialized in saying, okay, now you want to move on, how can we help you? And they do that for you. That for me was very key. And that's how I moved from Malaysia to the UK for my master's. You're muted.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And yes, I was saying that, yeah, making those applications are not easy. It's good to know, what your experience there was like. I was just wondering how that has helped you with your current career. And then because we have quite a number of questions, some people want to
Yes.
learn about application process, financing and all of that. But tell us how your experience studying in Malaysia helped
Mhm.
your current career. I know you're in Canada. You just landed landed a huge role, and that's unusual for someone who is just like a newcomer, right?
Yes.
In the sense that you just arrived the country.
Yeah.
So how did this time studying in Malaysia prepare you for the role now that you have or you've taken up in Canada? Just to encourage people to see that these things are very important, and it's not a waste of time. It can help them going forward.
Yes. So I believe, in connecting the dots. So when I went to Malaysia, the first thing that I can say helped is the multicultural nature that I spoke about, where you learn with people from all over the world, literally. But then also, I believe I developed a lot of my leadership qualities from there, from the extracurricular activities. Because I was on a 50% scholarship, which I know we will touch on soon in the webinar. My scholarship had conditions, and those conditions were, to participate in extracurricular activities and represent the university. So I was in the debate club. I was in, I was part of the African Students Association. And then I was also like always on the Model United Nations, anything to do with speaking. Like I love to talk. So anything to do with speaking, I was there. I love to write as well. So I was writing as well for the university. Now, how has that helped me? Because I had all this access to leadership conferences, representing the university. I remember going to the Philippines, representing the university, going to Singapore to represent the university, and this huge exposure to different people from different backgrounds. It has helped me even in my job search in Canada. Currently, my boss, my immediate supervisor, is based in a country in Asia. He's in Kazakhstan, I think Kazakhstan, right? And imagine the rapport when I'm speaking to him and I'm like, oh, I've been to Asia, I've been to Malaysia, I've been to Singapore, and I've been to the Philippines. And, we just start talking about those countries that we've been to. So before you even jump into, okay, what are your qualifications? There's a point of rapport there if anybody has been to Asia. So things like that. And then even just the leadership conferences, there's a certain confidence in the way that you carry yourself if you've gone to a university that focuses on these things. And I think Malaysia created that. But further from that, I've also created lifelong partnerships. Grace, when we met, I was running the Stella project. I still run the Stella project, but my co-founder for the Stella project is someone I met in university. He's from Nigeria. We've had a friendship all the way from, that far. So one of my best friends is someone I met in university. So being able to have relationships that you will continue to leverage on years on after university is also very important. So at Nilai, I met people who are now doing great things in their own personal lives. I moved to Canada because one of my roommates, who was we were not in the same class, but she was at Nilai University and she was my housemate, not roommate. She moved to Canada, and then I'm like, Guy, how did you move to Canada? And then she's like, oh, this is what I did, da, 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 da. I followed the same steps and here I am. So really, Malaysia is, that thing that ties it all together.
Yeah, and it's a home of opportunities. I mean, it's a great way to prepare yourself to attract the kind of opportunities you want in the near future. I'm glad to hear that it gave you all these exposures that are now very relevant to what you're doing. So I'm going to take a quick break for myself. Tolani is going to continue to ask you some set of questions. I'd love us to, delve into the financials. What's the affordability like? Because people have that question in their minds about, can I afford to attend school here? What does a partial scholarship look like? And how does it compare to studying in the UK or US or Canada? So if you could touch on that, and then Tolani will ask you the next set of questions.
Okay. So Tolani, do you want to ask a question, or should I just touch on the fees immediately?
Yes, the affordability perspective, like compared to schooling in other countries, how affordable is Malaysia to, the available options?
Yeah. So affordability is always relative, right? So what could be affordable for some is not affordable for other people. But when we look at Malaysia, what we are looking at is, give me a second to just see what this looks like. So what we're looking at for a degree program, for example, is the equivalent of maybe $12,000 for the whole period, right? So when
For
you
how many
think
years
of
of study?
for the whole period, like tuition, all of that, $12,000.
Okay.
And when you look at
Okay.
that, and you compare it to a similar university in Canada, what you're probably looking at for Canada is maybe $25,000 for the first year.
Okay.
Or if it's slightly lower, maybe $15,000 for the first year. So the entire amount that you would pay in Malaysia for the entire period could be what you pay in 1 year in
1 year.
Canada.
Mm.
That's if you're going to a university. So you're looking at the same like rating or something similar, right? So already that gives you a perspective.
Yeah.
And then also the cost of living in Malaysia is significantly lower than if you compare it to Australia, the UK, Canada, or even what other country can I think of? Or the United States. So the cost of living is significantly lower. So you get a better quality of life for a smaller amount of money in Malaysia, and you still get to enjoy certain things that other countries may not give you, which are things like, great climates, because
Yeah. Yeah.
most of us who are watching here, I'm seeing Patricia from Zambia, and Chilufia from
From
Zambia. Most of us are
Africa.
coming from Africa, and our climate is not. It's more similar to Malaysia than it is Canada or America. So, yeah, those are the fees. So you're looking at about, for a degree program, maybe about $13,000, probably about $7,000 for a diploma program, which when you compare to Canada, Canada is way more expensive. But this is also a route you could take if your ultimate goal is to move maybe to the UK or to the US or to Canada, like I did. So my pathway was go to Malaysia, get your undergraduate, and then go to the UK, get your postgraduate, and then maybe work in Africa so you get your experience, and then you move to Canada or to the US because now you have your education, which you got at a more affordable rate. You have your postgraduate education, which you got maybe for slightly more expensive, and then you have experience, which you got maybe from Africa for lower pay, and then now you can move to North America where you tie all these things together and hopefully get a great job like I did in the first 90
Like
days
you
of
do.
moving. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. So how would you assess the quality of education that is available in these Malaysian universities, right? Because we hear about schooling in the UK, schooling in Canada, schooling in the US. We don't really hear a lot about going abroad to study in countries like Malaysia. So how would you rate the quality of education that's available there?
Yes. So Asia is, even though maybe global platforms, they may say that, um, North America is developed and then we have Asia and Africa, and, they all these connotations. But when you look at Asia, Asia is technologically advanced. Like really technologically advanced. So you have access to some of the best technology, even when you're studying there. You have access to cutting edge things that may be available in the UK or in the US. So that's number one. Number two, because most of the Malaysian universities, and Nilai in particular, has accreditation with UK universities, Canadian universities, and Australian universities, in order to keep those accreditations, they need to keep a certain level of standards in their education. Basically, if I'm moving from a Malaysian university and I'm going to a Canadian university and I want to apply for exemptions, the Canadian university has to make sure that that Malaysian university had a certain quality of education, which is the same standard as the Canadian one. Does that make sense? Hi, Tolani.
Yes, yes, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So what universities like Nilai do is to make sure that if they want to be accredited to high-ranking universities in the UK or in the US, they have perhaps lecturers who come in from this university to come in and help develop their curriculum, to make sure that their curriculum is of industry standard, and to make sure that they're giving you the same quality of education or similar quality of education that you would have gotten if you had gone to their partner university in the UK, in Canada, or in Australia. So, in terms of the quality of education, you can be rest assured that they're giving you internationally standard quality education.
Great, great. That is reassuring to hear. So we already know that the fees are relatively cheaper compared to its Western university counterparts. But would also like to know if there's any financial aid available and how people can benefit from it if you're interested.
Yes, so there are three types of financial aid that they give. So the first one is the High Achievers Scholarship. This one, as long as you got a certain number of A's, so 6 A's at O level or 3 A's at A level, then you qualify for this, and this will give you 50% scholarship on your tuition. The condition is that you should continue to meet that certain academic credentials. So you
Right.
can't start failing, you can't start failing. And then if you didn't get your 6 A's or your 3 A's, we can still move on to what we call the progression scholarship. So let's say you're progressing from your diploma to your degree and you did very well in your diploma, you can apply for the progression scholarship where you get up to 30% scholarship. Then there are other routes such as, if you're a sports person and, you're a high achiever in that sport, you can apply for the sports scholarship. But the one that would be of interest for young, brilliant people is that 50% where you've worked so hard in your secondary school. Apply for it, make sure that you get it, and you then get your fees slashed in half.
Great. So we have the High Achiever Scholarship, we have the Sports Scholarship, and the one that's available for you if you're moving from like a diploma to a degree program, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So how would you say that studying in Malaysia sets people up for a full life of success, right? So I know a lot of young people, they are interested in studying abroad mostly because of the opportunity to get access to a higher standard or a higher quality of education, with the end goal of making their lives better, right?
Yeah.
Being able to get more opportunities, better jobs, and all that. So, how would you say that studying in Malaysia would help them achieve that goal of a successful life?
Yes. So I'm going to start answering that by talking about a full life in all its entirety, right? Because a full life goes beyond getting the job and, doing certain things, but it's having access. And these are things that we don't have when we live in our African countries. For example, if I want to travel from Zambia to Zimbabwe, which is one of our neighbors, and I want to fly, it's extremely expensive, right?
Sure.
If I want to travel to maybe, I don't know, Egypt, I probably even need a visa. So it's extremely expensive. So in Zambia, I am limited to where I can just get up and say, you know what? I'm tired. I've been in university. It's been a long month of studying. I want to travel and just go. But when you live in a country like Malaysia and you go on Air Asia is like a regional low cost airline. You find that they will have flights from Malaysia to Singapore. and it's probably maybe like I don't wanna say anything. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna present. I'm gonna share my screen.
Great.
Yeah, I want to share my screen so that I am not
You
telling
can
any
show and not
lies.
tell.
So let's go on Air Asia, and I hope this works for me, right? So Kuala Lumpur is the airport in Malaysia. Are you able to see my screen? I think I need to add it. Grace, are you in to add my screen to the call?
You should see like a present icon.
I've presented, so now I need Grace to like add it to the call. Okay, Grace.
Okay.
Grace is not actually in the meeting.
Yes.
So, okay, that's fine. I was gonna share my screen. Are you able to share your screen?
Yes, I think I can see a button to share my screen right now. But
Okay, so
if
please share your
you're having
screen.
issues with that, we could just
So, if you
okay.
can, please share your screen, and I just want you to go to airasia.com. And if that's not working, that's fine. Right. So I'm just gonna go on Air Asian now.
If that's not working,
Okay, yeah. So Grace is back. So Grace, I just need help. I'm trying to share my screen, and I need you to just add it to the stream. Yeah. Ah, perfect. That worked. So this is KL. I'm gonna put. So Kuala Lumpur is where Malaysia is located, and I'm gonna put, say, Singapore. I want to travel to Singapore. Say, can you see that? Can you guys see that? Can you see the
yes,
price?
yes, we can see it. We can see it.
What price does it say?
Uh, $16.
How much is it to go from Malaysia to
That
Singapore?
is unbelievable.
Cheap.
And do you see the dates like next week? So someone can get up and go to Singapore next week.
For $16? Oh my god.
I kid you not.
Okay. I have to go to Malaysia now.
So yeah, so I was trying to say that, a full life comes from such opportunities where when you're in university and you just have $16 and you're stressed, you can say, you know what, I'll be back next week. I'll be back, let me go Friday. I'll be back on Monday, and just relax, go eat something different, Airbnb and all of that. So such opportunities are things that we don't have when we are, in Zambia, for example. You may not even have this if you're in the UK, because if you're in the UK, you may need to get a Schengen visa to travel to other parts of, Europe. But
Yeah.
with Malaysia, some of our passports, you can go to Singapore without really a visa. You can go to the Philippines and so on and so forth. So you have access to more places, which means that if there's an opportunity in that area, you can go there. If there's a conference, you can go there and you could meet somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who could hire you. These are the networks that you don't have if you're just closed, or if you're in a place where, yes, you're studying, yes, you paid so much money, but you don't have access to everything else. Because what happens when there's a fintech conference in Asia? Everybody from MasterCard is traveling, everybody from this place is traveling. So you could book a flight, $16, go there, attend the conference, network, and that will set you apart to get your next level job.
Well, that all sounds really, really, really interesting. Um, the quality of life, based on what you just explained, is something that I feel like most people would really be looking forward to. I know that's a lot of young people's dream, the ability to just get on the flight and travel to a
And
different
go.
country and explore the world.
We're on Instagram and we're
That's
always
really
wondering,
cool.
how is this person always traveling? How are
Exactly,
they always
exactly.
posting? Well, this would give you the opportunity to be that Instagram person that we're always scrolling for, you know?
Yeah, Ibrahim, I totally understand. I feel you. Okay, so you're currently in Canada, right? You currently live and work in Canada. Would you advise people to study in Malaysia or in Canada? And can you tell us some reasons behind your opinion?
Okay, I believe both offer great opportunities. If you can move to Canada, but Canada, like we mentioned earlier, may be a more expensive route to study. So you may
Okay.
want to first study in a place that's more affordable but gives you the same level of education,
Hmm.
and then use your education and your experience to then come to Canada. So I moved to Canada as a permanent resident, and I was only able to do that because I have the education which I got from Malaysia, and then I have the experience which I got from Zambia. So it made it easier for me to say I am qualified, I am skilled. Can I move as a permanent resident? So those are things that you look at. And then if Canada is where you want to be, ultimately you also want to look at things such as how do North American countries offer visas or visa refusals. Sometimes they look at your travel history, and this is where all those $16 flights help you, because when they see that you've been to multiple countries, they're like, oh,
Yeah,
if those countries
okay.
allowed this person in, then why not? But if you've never been to another country, it may be risky. I mean, it's not that you get a refusal, but it may be risky to just start with Canada or the States because you may not have that travel history.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. So, in this webinar, we've discussed the benefits of studying in Malaysia, access to quality education for cheap, getting to experience a rich culture, and of course, the cheap flight tickets. So, I'm sure a question on most people's mind is what does it cost to get started? So, if I'm living somewhere in Africa and I want to go school in Malaysia, what do I need to get started and how do I get started?
Mhm. So the first thing that you definitely have to do is to get in touch with us through the form. That is, do I remember what the form is? Are you gonna put it down in the banner? Yeah, OD Nila Uni. So there we'll kind of take a look at where you are, who you are, how young you are, whether you want to be an undergrad or a postgrad and things like that. And then once that assessment is done, I would get in touch with you to ask for your actual results and present these to the university. If your results are authenticated, then we'll give you a letter of support or an offer letter, actually. And that offer letter is what you then need to use to make the fees for your visa. So we would apply for the visa for you, all of that. You don't have to worry about it. And once your visa is out, you can then make your next payments, which are your tuition fees, and go on to the university and start your semester.
Okay, great. And how long will it take to process, like from application to acceptance? How how long would that take?
The acceptance depends on how quickly you respond. So I typically would be able to get back to you with the letters of the offer letters within 3 to 5 days. Obviously, there's time difference in Malaysia and in Africa, and then in Canada, there are different time differences. So 3 to 5 days would work. And then visa processes usually take up to 2 months. So the earlier we start, the better, because then you want to make sure that if you're joining the January intake, you've started your visa application as soon as possible. If you want to join the April intake, you start your visa applications as soon as possible so that you can get everything sorted.
Okay, and how many intakes do the university accept in a year?
Yeah. So there are 4 intakes. There's January, there's April, July, and September intake. And I know I saw someone say, are there scholarships for graduate
For
studies?
graduate studies, yeah.
Yes. So mostly the scholarships are for undergraduate studies. So usually they don't have scholarships for graduate studies. They could possibly have a progression scholarship from undergrad to masters if you wanted to do your masters there. But at the moment, they have like your normal undergraduate scholarships. And yes, Samuel, I definitely can help with the application process. Please fill in the form, which is bit.ly/od Nilai Uni.
Okay. Um, Great. Okay, Philip is asking. He says he
World
would like
ranking.
to, yes, world ranking, global recognition kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know about the global recognition, but in Malaysia, they are a tier 4 university, which is ranked consistently as an excellent university in Malaysia.
Okay, great. Um, okay, I think Grace is back.
Yes. So thank you so much, Stella. I think you've done justice to this topic. Um, yes, we're going to share the link. Someone is asking for the link to get started. We're going to share this via email to everyone who registered for this webinar. I was wondering if you had any last words for anyone. And thank you so much, Tolani, as well, for doing an amazing job moderating this session. Stella, did you have any final words for people who are looking to start their applications to study in Malaysia? I know this is just for undergraduate studies, but what about people who have probably, even done masters where they are, but just want to come through this route to
Yeah.
get this opportunity?
Yes. So, number one, there are quite a number of questions on scholarships for graduates. At Nilai University, most of the scholarships are for undergraduate studies. But if you do want to self-fund your master's study, or if, let's say, your country has like a funding program where you choose where you want to study and they'll fund you. I know countries like Botswana, I think even Zambia has some of those. This is something that you can look for. If you can look for alternative funding as a master's student, but for undergraduates, that is definitely available. My last statement would be, it takes years to become anything that you want to be. And those years always start with a single day and a single step in the right direction. So make that first step today. Your first step, even if you want to be a post-grad student, we can help you gain that admission. Your first step would be fill in the form, which is bit.ly/ODNILAIUNI. Fill in that form. Let's start and then let's move. I'm going to share a very personal story, right? To end. I mean, this entire webinar has been a personal story, but I'll share a personal story to end. When I applied, I had no idea where the money would come from. It was like leap of faith. I'm applying for this. At the time that it was time for me to move, to go get a flight, travel for university, you've paid your school fees. Now you just need to fly there and start. My mom said, we don't have money for your flight. Like literally. And I went to church. I'm Catholic. I go to church all the time, every day. I went to the church that I had gone to from the time I was 6 every day. And I said, you know what? They said God is supposed to help me. I have this challenge. I want to go to university. I've gotten the place. I've done everything right. But my parents say they don't have the money. So can you help me? And the priest there said, well, we can give you the money. We can lend it to you. But you have to get your parents to sign that they'll pay back at some point. And I now went back. That was my first loan, I think, in my life. I went back to my parents and said, guys, you said you don't have money. These people will lend you the money. Can you sign this document that says at some point you'll pay back? The point of this is that even if you don't see the way, make a step. Apply, send us your results. Let's take a look. And sometimes you never know where your funds will come from. So make that first step. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But if you want to go to university, let's get started. Let's get you that offer letter. And perhaps you can use that offer letter to get the remaining 50% or things like that. So don't stop and just start. This is your route to being a global citizen. You're going to meet so many amazing people. You're going to have such an amazing experience, and it will grow you in ways that you will only be able to look back years later. I graduated from Nila University in 2012. That was 11 years ago, and I can still see the fruits. So just make that first step.
Thank you so much. That's such a powerful way to close this. Make that first step in the right direction. Start today. Unfortunately, this opportunity is not for people who are looking for to study at graduate level.
So Grace, they can study, but it would be self-funded. Just
self-funded, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean, that the partial scholarship opportunity is not for graduate studies, but yes, you can definitely go on to explore the school websites. These fees are not very expensive. I've gone through them compared to what is obtainable in the West, right? It's pretty much affordable if you can self-fund it instead of going all the way to Europe or to America. Asia is a very good option, and Malaysia is one of the best places you can think of. And yes, this is the opportunity to become a global citizen, like Stella said, and that journey begins with you making the decision to get started today. Thank you once again, Stella. We will save this video on our YouTube channel for people to refer to, and for more people to discover and learn about this opportunity. It has been a very big pleasure hosting you and learning about your personal story, your experiences studying in Malaysia, and the opportunities that are available to those who are interested in doing the same. All right, without much ado, we will call it a day and say thank you to everyone who joined us as well. If you have any final questions, you can ask them here, or you can send us an email, and we will make sure to let Stella know and she can respond. So Goa is saying, yeah, the link will be sent to everyone who has registered for this event. You will get them shortly. Thank you again, Stella.
Thank you, and have a great day. So maybe you can type it. The university is www.nili.edu.my. And just a reminder to make sure that, people just make sure that we can track them through Opportunity Desk, through the form that you have shared.
Exactly. Sure. I've also shared the link in the comment section. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.